Do you like staying warm in the winter? A masonry heater just might be the ticket. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and we are so excited today because this is our new masonry heater. And if you don't know what a masonry heater is, you're just missing out, because this is a really cool way to stay warm. Because what this does is you put in 1 or 2 fires a day, right? And it warms all of the mass and it radiates out into the room. And this is actually, you can hear the echo, this is a metal building that we built to be kind of a gathering place for our family. And it came in handy already when Sam was off at college and he had to be quarantined due to COVID. But we couldn't let him come stay in the house with us because I'm immune compromised and it just would not have been a good thing. So we set him up in this building, but back then we didn't have anything like this to keep him warm. So we are really excited that we can add this to our ability to prepare and keep our family warm, and it's just beautiful. You know, so as this is a gathering place and we're having family dinners here, it's such a pretty atmosphere and it'll keep everybody warm.
Not only does it radiate out into the room, but all this mass will be warm. So the bench will be warmed, the brick will be warm, and people can lean against that. There's just nothing quite like leaning into something that's just nice and warm, or sitting on something that's nice and toasty. We are so excited.
And one of the things that I really liked about this is the oven. So this is a Temp-Cast Masonry Heater, right? And we just finished the break-in fire. So we are just to the point where we're experimenting with things. But as you can you see the flames coming up through there? Once this all dies down, then it's going to be about the temperature of a pizza oven. And then for another few hours, it'll be a regular oven, the 350 to 400 degree oven. And then it's a slow cooker for a while. And that's one of the things I thought was so cool about this, is that I can use my oven using the same fuel that I would have taken to warm the room.
Right. So the engineer in me really loves this stove because it follows basic engineering principles. This is something that they use a lot in Europe and even back east. There's a lot of these in place, but they're not as common where we live. But the whole premise here is you're going to have a good hot fire, and that fire gets really, really hot. And then it goes up, and you saw it either in the window or when that oven was open, and then that goes back down and warms all that mass. So you're getting all that heat before it can get outside. You've warmed up so much mass that the outside temperature of that exhaust is really not very high, because all that heat has been absorbed by the mass. And that's the whole principle of this. It just makes a lot of sense, and you're going to use a lot less fuel than you would with any other kind of wood stove or other device. So what an amazing tool.
And one of the things that's really cool about it is because the goal is to have this huge hot fire all at once, right? And so it's burning the wood much cleaner. And so the emissions that you're getting by the time it gets out this chimney just really isn't anywhere near as bad as it normally would be.
And you don't have a whole lot of ash because the fire is so hot that it pretty much incinerates everything. So it's all the way around. This is just an amazing tool.
Okay, so all during this process, we took pictures so that you could see what this installation was like. So here you go.
It's day 2, and we have made some really good progress on putting together this masonry heater. So Patrick, tell us where we are and how this is working and where we go from here.
Okay, at this point we've got the core built. All the refractory modules are put together. You can't see them right now because we've got the cardboard wrap on. The cardboard wrap is there to provide an expansion joint for the heater between the heater and the brick that we're going to lay up next to it. So this heater is going to get surrounded with brick, and that's what you're going to see. You're not going to see this cardboard. You'll see this bake oven door, but the brick is going to go around, and you won't see this trim plate very much. So what we've got is the cardboard is eventually going to burn off. That's what it does. But it doesn't burn off like smoke. The way that this is built with the brick is that there's no air that gets in between the brick and the core. So when this heater core heats up to 600 or 700 degrees, what it does is just it anaerobically burns this cardboard. And what that means is there's no oxygen. And so without oxygen, it basically turns into char and ash, and it drops to the bottom, it goes away, and it leaves a perfect little 1/4 inch gap between the core and the exterior brick. And that's important because the heater itself, as it heats up, it's going to grow. It's like a lung. As it heats up, it inhales and it gets bigger. And then as it cools off, it exhales and it gets back smaller. And if you didn't have that 1/4 inch gap here, it would inhale and it would expand against the brick and it would crack your exterior facade. This keeps that from happening. So the fire is in the firebox, it goes up, we have a black oven here, which means that the fire passes right through the oven. It hits the dome of the oven, it goes up through the chambers in here, it splits and it comes down the sides. At this point, we have built a bench. So instead of going immediately into a chimney, which a lot of our heaters do, they go right into a chimney, we've elected to chase that chimney around a little bit and create a little hearth and warm this up a little bit. So what we have is, we have normally there would be a chimney right here, but we've taken the flue tiles and we've created a network of flue channels that is going to be covered in brick. But if we just threw this mock up here so you could kind of see, we're going to wrap this in brick, and then this is going to be like a piece of slab stone that will span the distance so that you have a nice area for seating, and then it's also going to be warm because the exit temperatures here are still going to be in the 300, 400, 500 degree range at various points of the fire. And that's going to heat these flue tiles up, and then it's going to also heat these brick up. It's going to heat this slab stone up so that you can sit on this bench and just warm up.
Bask in the warmth.
It's a wonderful experience. You can lay down on this bench. You can lean up next to your heater. It's such a useful, it's just an enjoyable thing to have with your masonry heater, and it's possible. It's a little bit more of a technical build. You might want a heater mason at that point for this part of the build, but if you're ambitious and you want to try it, it's a great thing to add to your masonry heater.
So I can just picture it now. My kids are going to fight over who gets to lay on that bench. Kids or grandkids, I guess.
Right.
They are going to be so excited to just lay there and bask in that warmth.
That's right. And the other thing that we've got here is we've got some cleanouts, because it's important with your Temp-Cast that you can access all of the horizontal sections. So anything where it's flat. So at the bottom of the heater, we got to be able to get in there because there's fly ash, which is just the light white ash that kind of just flies through the flue system. And about once a year, it's good to we need to just pull those. We're going to have a little clean out cover right here. You just take it off and you can go in there with a vacuum out the fly ash, and that's truly all the maintenance that there is for a Temp-Cast masonry heater, is once a year to vacuum out your fly ash. We're still going to have to recommend that you also have a chimney sweep come out and inspect your chimney, but other than that, that's standard maintenance for any wood burning appliance.
Yeah, but compared to our wood burning stove that we have to clean out probably at least once a week and haul it out, this is just an amazing way to be able to maintain it.
You have an ash box down below that's going to get you at least a couple of weeks of ash before you'd have to clean that out. But as far as maintenance of the whole system, it's kind of just a once a year event.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
very
amazing.
easy. So we've got a clean out here. We've got a couple of clean outs over on this side. And this is a long bench. This bench is about 14 linear feet, 13 linear feet of bench, which is getting close to about a limit for what we want to see. And the reason for that is that we want the flue gas temperatures to still be, when they go out the chimney, we want them to be a certain heat. We still want them to be about 300 degrees. If you get below that, your flue gas can condensate at the top of your chimney and then start to cause ice damming. And so there is a limit to what you can do. It's important that you know what you're doing before you would do something like this.
Right.
So,
Right.
so we have the cleanouts. We also, because it's such a long section, it's good to have a way to kind of shortcut the system. It's not always easy to establish draft when you're going from here to here and then all the way down and around here. There's a lot of friction. There's a lot of just loss of velocity because of the turns. And so we've installed a bypass damper on this. So we have a long heated bench. There's a lot of turns. We've got two 90s and then there's another 90 degrees. We've got three 90-degree angle turns.
Right.
That's a lot of friction lost in just what's going to happen through this. And so because of that, what we wanted to do here for you was to install this. What this allows you to do is when you're starting your masonry heater and it's cold and you might, to establish draft, it's going to be a lot easier just to get the flue gases into the chimney right away. Because in the beginning, when you light your fire, it's a cold fire. It starts from one match. That's not much heat. It has to grow to a point where there's enough heat to keep itself primed.
Flowing.
Keep it flowing. Keep the flue gases moving the direction that they are. So what we've done here is install the bypass damper, which allows you to open this up. And when you do, the flue gases will naturally take the path of least resistance. So they're going to come right out here. They're going to go right into your chimney and up. And that's just going to help you to establish draft when the heater's cold, it hasn't been fired in a while. It's just kind of a precautionary measure. It's going to keep your fire lighting in a little bit easier.
Okay.
So then you shut it. After a couple minutes, you've established draft. It only takes a couple minutes. And then you can close this, and at that point, the flue gases will switch. They'll come down. They'll go all the way around this bench, warming all of it. And that's that. So this is a clean out here as well. And we have a clean out here because we want to be able to get access to the bottom of the heater on this side. We want to be able to get access all the way through the flue channels over here and the bottom of where the chimney is so that we can get any fly ash vacuumed out of that as well.
So Patrick, this has been fairly straightforward to put together, kind of like a little puzzle. You put all the numbered pieces in the right order and this thing just comes together. Now some of this I may not be as comfortable with, some of the technical masonry work. Tell us about the kind of the do-it-yourself nature of this.
Yeah, so a Temp-Cast Masonry Heater is designed to be user-friendly. It's a good do-it-yourselfer project. So far as it goes with the core, so far as it goes with your level of comfort with masonry in general. We have people that will build them start to finish all by themselves. They like the idea of putting some brick on and then stuccoing over the outside finish, and they're very comfortable doing that as their finish, and they like the idea of stucco. They can use a color, they can do whatever they want.
Right. Okay.
Some people like brick. If you're not a bricklayer, you're probably going to want a bricklayer to help you do that.
Or I guess you can go online and look at some videos. I mean, a lot of people like to do that. They like to try. They learn and then they jump
do it themselves and enjoy that process more. So it really depends on how much you want to do, and anybody can really do this if you want to do it, because the steps are very easy, very straightforward,
pretty easy.
There's a 53-page instruction manual, start to finish, exactly how to do this. And we're not leaving anything out in that, so it can be done. If you want something very technical that you don't know how to do, obviously you're going to need somebody to help you do it. If you are in it for just a great project that you're going to keep affordable and something that you enjoy doing yourself, it's a great thing to just have at it and make it how you want it to be.
Right. Okay, so we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Where do we go from here?
So what's left for us is to basically clad this in the brick that you've picked up. We've got a little bit of it just kind of set up over here so you can kind of see how that goes. It'll wrap the bench and then it steps in. This will all get wrapped. We've already got everything really installed that needs to be installed. The only other thing that gets installed is going to be your firebox door, and that gets installed once the brick gets up to that height. And this is your air intake door, which brings air in to the fire. These things are all very easy to do, and that's it. Once that's installed, we've already got the chimney hooked up. Once it cools down, you guys can light a fire.
So Patrick, tell us a little bit about this door. Normally in the past, when I've wanted to enjoy the fire, it kind of builds up with soot and black stuff and kind of ruins the experience. Tell us about this and how that fixes that.
Yeah, Yeah, so in a Temp-Cast, the door is designed to stay clean during the fire. So you've got two things going on in like a wood burning stove application. Typically, in order to conserve the wood so that you're not burning as much wood, it's normal to just choke the fire down. That causes a cold burn, something below 1,000 degrees. And it's completely necessary in a wood burning stove, because if you burned at over 1,000 degrees, you just cook everybody out of the room.
Right.
But a masonry heater is designed to be burned at over 1,000 degrees. In fact, it burns at 1,500 to 1,600 degrees.
Wow.
But what that does is it gives you incredible combustion. So what happens is, once you get over 1,000 degrees, the combustion is complete. Creosote can't build up. It's another benefit to a Temp-Cast masonry heater. There's no worry. As long as you're burning wood that is 20% moisture or less, you can't get creosote to build up in these. I've talked to people that have owned a Temp-Cast for over 30 years, and they've opened them up to clean them, and they tell me they look as clean as the day they built them. It's a fantastic process. So when you burn hot, that's a key to clean. But the other thing that can happen is if the flame is close to the glass, it will, as it's whirling in there, it can throw soot against the glass. That's another thing that causes a glass to be black, and then you can't enjoy the fire. So with a Temp-Cast door, the way that these work is the fire comes in. Let's tip this back up, okay, and we can show people where the air comes in through the bottom of the door. There's a slot right here, and this is an air frame. So we have air that comes in over the bottom, which allows the coals to get burned off at the bottom of the fire. And then we have 4 air slots right here, and this air comes in and it washes over the glass to keep the glass clean during the fire. You do not get soot buildup on your glass. You can enjoy the entire fire with the Temp-Cast.
Nice. Very nice. We're going to talk now just for a minute about the part that my wife is so excited about. And now, don't get me wrong, she wants to stay warm, but she also loves the ability to cook in this new masonry heater. So Patrick, tell us how we're going to do that.
All right, so the flue gases come up right through this fire, right through the bake oven. And so it warms the whole oven up. After the fire's out, this oven's going to be 500, 600 degrees, 700 degrees, depending upon how long of a fire you had. That's going to cool down pretty quickly to baking temperatures. After an hour, you're probably going to be 450 degrees. And you're going to be sitting between 350 degrees and 450 degrees for a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Sweet. Just right for making my cobbler?
Yes.
Cool.
Cookies, breads. Yep.
Nice.
So it's kind of a whole range of cooking that you get to do. So you can start hot with your like really hot temperature breads.
Or pizza.
Pizza.
Oh.
Yep. Put in a pizza stone and cook pizzas on there. And then as it descends past 350, you can start to, after a few more hours, you can start something like this, like a slow cooker. Let's say you have a fire in the morning. Let's say around noon, you can throw in your meat, your potatoes, your vegetables. Just throw it in there, season it up, pull it out for dinner, it's done. You didn't turn the stove on, no electricity, no gas.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
So it sounds like I'm going to need to buy a thermometer for in here.
It's a good idea.
And then create a spreadsheet to monitor all this.
There you go, there you go. The pizza thermometers, they're just stand-up thermometers. They just sit right on the floor.
Sweet.
It's a great way to just kind of see where you're at and know what you can cook.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Or warm, I guess.
Yeah.
Hot.
Yes.
Sweet. We want to thank Patrick from Temp-Cast Masonry Heaters for coming and educating us and helping us get this going. This is just so amazing. And I had hardly even heard of masonry heaters before we talked with Patrick and his company. So Patrick, tell us about masonry heaters. Why aren't they more common in the United States?
That's a good question. It's a hard one to answer. In Europe, it's just a part of life. Every country in Europe seems to have a masonry heater history that goes back 200-300 years. And so you have a lot of different heater styles, a lot of different heater traditions came out of different countries. They're known by different names. In Europe, you'll more commonly hear them called stoves as opposed to heaters. You'll hear the masonry stove name, and they have specific names. Sweden has their kakeloffens, and Finland is kind of where the contraflow design, like what a Temp-Cast is, comes from. Germany calls them a Grundofen. In Russia, they have the bell heater designs. And so there's a lot of different masonry heater traditions and designs that have come out. But yes, it's as common as carpentry when you go to a country like Austria or Germany. And so we have them here in America. Temp-Cast produces masonry heaters. We're located in Minnesota. We ship all over the world. We ship to Australia. We ship throughout all of North America. We enjoy what we do, and we think we have the greatest heating product on earth.
Well, I've been so totally impressed. And again, if you're interested in this, go to Temp-Cast.com and learn more. These are exciting, and you can watch for more videos as we get this completed and start using it. Now, it should be noted that these heaters are extremely heavy. This is probably somewhere around 5,000 pounds of mass. So it's very, very heavy, which means, you know, if you're trying to put it in a regular home, you're going to have to seriously beef that up. You're going to have some structural engineering done to make sure that that will work. If you're putting it in a basement on a concrete floor, no problem. Our application here in our metal building, not a problem because we're on concrete. But if you're on a framed floor and you want to put it on a framed floor, you're going to have to do some upgrades. You're going to have a structural engineer design and rehabilitate that floor so that it can handle this kind of load, because it is extremely heavy. It is extremely heavy. That's the whole premise here, is that all this mass absorbs that heat, so it does weigh a lot.
But if you have a slab foundation, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Right? It's only if you're on that second floor.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Derek and Patrick at Temp-Cast for designing such an amazing tool to bless our family, because this is something that, oh, it's so nice and warm, that's going to bless our family for generations to come, right?
Long after we're gone, our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will be using this.
It's a wonderful investment, and I'm excited because now with this, our metal building, we were going to call it a party house, but we thought people would think the wrong thing. And not quite the gathering place, maybe. But this building now, instead of like when Sam had to come and quarantine here and it was cold and kind of miserable, now it's going to be this warm, inviting place for everybody to gather and to have safety, because we have a little house, right? And so if you have too many people come, there needs to be a warm place for them. So thank you so much, Temp-Cast, for creating it and making it into something that will be wonderful for our family for so many years.
And beautiful. And I'm the guy I'm talking here, but it turned out just amazingly beautiful. I wasn't sure about the brick, but she chose it, and I am so happy. It just looks so nice. It looks like an old school building to me or something.
Like a pizza oven!
Yeah.
That was the look
There we go. There we go. Anyway.
And you can use anything like, so the core is what Temp-Cast creates, right? The core that is inside of here that makes it all work like this, the masonry heater. But you can use any type of exterior that you want. So if you'd rather have rock or some other type of stone, you can totally do that. And
they'll help you design what will work best, getting the right amount of mass.
Yeah.
So it just works out really, really well.
Yeah, but I'm super excited about the whole pizza oven thing. So you can expect a video on a pizza sometime soon. And if you use the promo code Provident when you go to Temp-Cast, or if you go to Temp-Cast, they'll give you $250 off. So they're great guys. Just go to Temp-Cast.com if you have any questions, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them.
So more videos coming. Just keep an eye out. There's going to be a whole myriad of topics that we'll talk about. And now for the question of the day. How are you going to stay warm this winter if your power goes out?
I'm going to be right
Comment
here.
below. And thanks for being part of the solution.